Welcome everybody to the Critics Corner. We are here again to bring you another great movie. I'm Andrew Branca with the Waxahachie Sun.
And I'm David Dunn, Southlake Style Magazine.
And this week's movie is a favorite of mine. It's The Usual Suspects, which is it's a classic in kind of a thriller type movies. I would say it's a modern day classic. I think that's safe to say since it was made in 1995.
Yeah, it's definitely a neo-noir classic for sure, Andy. The story is about a group of criminals. They're brought in, charged with a particular crime, and in their frustration, they kind of get the feeling of, hey, we're gonna get back at those coppers. We're gonna rob them where it hurts. And that's kind of where the movie goes from there. It starts off as like this, small town crime thriller to just this giant neo-noir conspiracy of just ridiculous levels.
Oh yeah, and the writing is fantastic in it. What I really love about this movie is I love the writing, but I love how there's not a wasted minute or second or whatsoever. Everything just fits nicely together like a puzzle, and it just really brings you into the story.
I do agree with the analogy of it being a puzzle you have to piece together, Andy. The screenplay is written by Christopher McQuarrie. He's a frequent collaborator with director Bryan Singer. More recently, Christopher McQuarrie wrote and directed Mission Impossible Fallout, which is actually my favorite Mission Impossible movie.
That's a good one.
He's done that. He's written a lot of other movies for Bryan Singer, from X-Men to Valkyrie to everything else under the sun. So he's a very well-versed writer, and he has a big library under his belt. And I do like the dialogue in this movie, Andy. The dialogue in it is just so clever between all the characters. It's just infectious in its delivery.
Well, I think one of my favorite lines of the movie, and not to spoil anything, but there's a kind of a mastermind criminal that these guys end up working for, and one of the criminals, when he's in interrogation with the police and he's asking why he didn't do anything, he says something to the effect of, how could you shoot the devil in the back? What if you miss? I love that line. That's just so, wow.
It's great. No, it's definitely a great line. And a great follow-up to that, the villain you're referring to, Andy, we're not going to get too much in spoiler territory, but the villain, his name is Keyser Söze. He's apparently the hidden mastermind. Huh?
Keyser Söze.
Keyser Söze. He's the hidden mastermind throughout this whole movie. And it's interesting because you never really see Keyser Söze in the movie. He's always in third reference. He always carries his actions out through other henchmen and other people.
They treat him like a phantom almost.
A little bit, but you really feel like the pressure of this guy. You really feel the presence of him, the threat. It makes you makes your skin crawl at the things that this hidden mastermind can do. One of my favorite lines in the movie was the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he did not exist. I'm like, man, it's lines like that. You're just like, it really just pushed you back in your seat.
Oh yeah, one of the things I really enjoy about this movie is that there's no time wasted, but it's not a film that you see once and then you're like, oh, that's great. You go and see it more than once and you find new little things about it, and it's just it definitely has that ability to be watched over and over again. It has that sustainability, so to speak.
I do feel like the movie not even just warrants a second viewing. I think it's almost necessary to see a second viewing of this movie. The movie it follows two different narratives. It follows the present, the current events that the characters are describing, and it follows the past events, how these characters came together and what took them from point A to point B. It's very loosely connected, and if you blink, you'll miss that these stories are going on at two different times, not really at the same time. But once I made that connection, you start to piece events together. You're like, okay, this works because of this character did this character said that, these characters, and it's building blocks, one on top of the other.
Yeah, it's definitely like that, but it's not anything that's, they don't go too far back into the backstory to make it laggy or to chase a subplot line. It just all weaves it really, really well together, and I think that's what really makes this film work.
It's definitely well unified in the usual suspects and their plight forward. I do find that interesting that despite these really fascinating characters and very well acted characters, the movie doesn't really deviate much from what the group does as a whole, and I think that's kind of cool. It makes it kind of a unified narrative on that front. And to add on that point, Andy, the cast in this film is spectacular. I mean, Gabriel Byrne, he's one of the leading kind of criminals. He wants to get out of the criminal world, but he keeps kind of getting roped into it. Stephen Baldwin is hilarious. Benicio del Toro was amazing. He has this really funny dialect, really kind of. You're talking about it makes him unique. I wanted to see a lot more of Benicio del Toro.
Well, and they even kind of crack a joke at that when they're going through the police lineup. He says, they give him a line to say, and he's mumbling it like that, and they say, in English.
yeah. I remember that line. Oh my God. And it's so nice to see all these actors like early on in their careers delivering greatest performances as these. I just think that's pulled together very well. One actor I really like, and I think you'll agree with me on this in the movie, is Kevin Spacey. Now, obviously, a lot has come out about his personal life since then that makes him a not well-digested celebrity, so I totally get that. But looking past that, looking at this performance, looking at this character that's disabled through cerebral palsy, and still kind of wants to be part of this, ragtag team of criminals. It was a really cool character. It was really cool to see him kind of aspire to that. It was cool to see the layers that he had, the questioning, the ulterior motives. He builds a really nice character with this, nicer, I think, even than his other Oscar-winning performance in American Beauty.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I definitely agree with you on that. We're here to judge his performance, not him as a person. Personally, I kind of loathe who he's become as a individual, and he needs to kind of take ownership for his actions rather than blame others. But this is about a movie and not about what he's going through, either through the courts or either through the entertainment press or the people that he hurt. This is not about that whatsoever. But I think his performance was really, really good. I enjoyed it. But I also think that it wasn't overpowering. He gave other people the chance to make their splash, so to speak, on screen and let them have a little bit of the spotlight. It wasn't all about him.
I do agree with that. I feel like it was, the title of this movie is The Usual Suspects. The movie is about the usual suspects. It's not about, cerebral palsy kid over here or veteran criminal over here. It's just kind of this ragtag team of guys going through these expeditions together. And it's very amusing for sure. Yeah. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see Bryan Singer and Christopher McQuarrie kind of deconstruct those layers together as this movie progresses forward.
Yeah, I think the character I liked the most was Kobayashi, and that was played by Pete Potwhite, I believe. If that's how you pronounce it. Just the way he had that his accent that he brought in, and just the kind of a quirkiness of his. He was a very quirky character, and he had this kind of bland kind of intimidation where you could feel that if you didn't do something that you were going to pay, and you believed him, and that gave me always gives me chills.
I do agree with that completely, and that kind of goes back into the villain of the story. You never really see him, but you feel his presence through other characters. You especially feel it through Kobayashi. I totally agree with that. One thing that does kind of I've seen this movie over 24 hours ago now. I'm still digesting the twist in this movie. And now, obviously, we can't go into spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But for yourself, generally, what were your thoughts on the twist?
I thought they were good. I thought they were well crafted. You didn't know what was going to happen next. It left you guessing, which that's what a good director and a good writer wants you to do when they watch their piece of art or what they've created do for you on screen. A thriller type, mobster type kind of movie. So I mean, it kind of, in a sense, it was almost similar to when Ocean's 11 with Brad Pitt came out and George Clooney. There were multiple ways that movie kept you guessing about what was going to happen next, and what was part of their big plan, and how to rob the casino, just different things like that. And this definitely used that technique, and it works fantastic.
I do agree the movie takes you through several loops. It definitely keeps you guessing. It definitely keeps you questioning everybody in the film, not just the supporting cast, but also the main characters. It doesn't really, it gives you, it cautions you to be like, okay, this is what you think is happening. Be careful who you trust. Like we said, greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist, right? My problem, the thing that I'm still having trouble digesting is the twist of this movie, because the film uses an unreliable narrator to tell its story, which, for those of you that don't know what an unreliable narrator is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a narrator who you can't take at face value everything they're saying, right? And this has been used in several films before. It's been used in Joker. It's been used in Fight Club. It's been used in Shutter Island, right? It's been used in a lot of films before for great dramatic and personal effect to the characters and what they're going through. My problem is, in this movie, the unreliable narrator is introduced. You are illustrated very clearly that this character is an unreliable narrator. And then it just kind of throws the entire film through topsy-turvy land. Like, I don't know what to think about the movie after watching the twist in here. Like, I don't know what actually happened. I don't know which characters said what. I don't know how events played out exactly they were supposed to. I don't know. The twist for me compromised the rest of this movie, and I still don't know how to feel about it.
Oh no, I disagree with you on that. I think that we're gonna have to agree to disagree. I think they work really well, but it was your first time seeing the movie. Maybe that opinion will change over time. But I get why you would feel like that, but nah, I disagree.
We definitely have to continue this conversation more after chat. But here's the movie, right? Here's the movie. Here's what the twist does to it. That's it. That's what it does. It gives you a clean slate. You're like, what? How?
Now I want coupons.
I'll give you them after the pandemic, buddy. All right.
Okay, so scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this?
A very marginal 6.
Really? Wow. I gave it an 8.
Huh?
I give it an 8.
I can see the movie was getting an 8 up until the twist. Then the twist, I was like, So, yeah, very marginal 6. Maybe, like you said, maybe I'll change my mind after the second viewing. But initial viewing, it kind of flipped me on my head and not in a very enjoyable way.
Okay. I'll give you that. But yeah, we'll agree to disagree on this one.
First one for one in this show, everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Critics Corner. If you have any questions, email me at andrew@waxahachiesun.com or
David@southlakestyle.com.
we'll see you guys next week here on the couch. Me here at the Sun office, and we'll see you then.
See y'all then.